Welcome to Break Your Fingers Laughing. My name is Owen. We're here with Andrew Mullen today. How you doing, mate?
Good, thank you, Owen.
Good.
Thank you for having me on.
No worries at all. This is a really interesting one. I think I just read the first line of your email and kind of saw the content of what you were promoting, and we want to talk about that. Right, and then I'll listen to the song afterwards. But we'll get into that anyway. But tell us a little bit about what do you do? Are you presenting yourself as Mullen, or is it a solo project, or?
It's a good question because I do get that a bit because the song the music itself is rock music and lots of different instruments involved. The project itself has always been my songs and I guess a solo project, but with other musicians involved for the recording and for touring and gigs and stuff like that. So at the moment, I've been performing under the name of Mullen, and I'm sure when touring and stuff starts, there'll be the and the Rockers type.
Oh,
thing.
right, okay. So you came up last week, and the Bad Seeds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So if I were to Google it, I'd be looking for Mullen. I think Mullen Official or something under Facebook, and that's what the artwork says, and that's
Mullen
that's
Official is the general social media presence there. Yeah.
So what does it sound like?
So it's I know what I like to think it sounds like.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
okay. So better question. What do you tell your target audience it sounds like?
Yeah, that's right. And I think from my point of view, I've always loved, big guitar riffs. And so in some ways it's got that 90s or, almost 80s guitar riff of centric sound. I like to compare myself to bands such as Muse or Royal Blood, probably Band of Skulls. There's a few more guitar-centric bands. Yeah. And then, feedback from people, anything from, when you get feedback from people, it's what part of the music they connect with. So I get a lot of 90s bands, a bit of Foo Fighter-y type thing.
Okay. There's a sound I hear in the single. The single is called The Devil is Innocent. There's something I hear in it that in what you've just said, you've danced around it, and in my head, I can't figure it out either, but it's somewhere in that 80s, 90s.
Right.
The first thing that popped into my head was hair metal, but I know that's wrong, and I know I'm not right in saying that, but there's something in the hooks, in the chorus, that I don't know what it is. Is it the vocals or the guitar riff that...
Yeah.
sounds familiar, but...
I get that because where I was also, some of the feedback I've had is people that have, maybe listened or grown up with Bon Jovi or something like that.
I was going to say Aerosmith.
Aerosmith, and that was the other one. It is interesting because that particular melody for the chorus, although not... it's not as if I deliberately tried to sound like Aerosmith on it, but when I came up with the melody, I was actually looking through some of the way Aerosmith would. I think the Love in an Elevator or Elevator Love or whatever it is. Just the way that he, does his melodies. Certainly that,
It's like heavy music, but your vocal range is quite a lot higher, which I guess when you mentioned Muse, that hadn't popped into my head. But similar kind of style where the guitars can be quite heavy and even tuned down to D or C or whatever.
Yeah.
But you still got that falsetto on top of it that's quite... piercing? Is that a good way of saying?
Yeah, well, I think to put it in a nice way rather than piercing, I didn't mean it to be. But the contrast. There is a contrast, and it's it's not a deliberate contrast. It's just I love the deep guitars and the big ballsy kind of sounds, but my natural voice when I go to those different tunings and stuff is that little bit higher than and because I grew up listening to a lot of Muse and some incredible vocalists that can do that higher stuff. I think it just never seemed to be weird for me. It was just kind of natural.
What do you think of Muse's new single? Have you heard it?
I haven't heard it. I've seen the Facebook ads, and it's that for me with a lot of the bands that I grew up with, and they release new stuff, I get a little bit nervous because I want them to be another killer song. But
you want them to be different.
To be honest, I haven't listened to this one yet.
It's interesting, actually, going off a complete tangent because, in my opinion, anyway, the new Muse single is really incredibly disappointing.
Right,
but don't let that shadow your judgment. Because again, I grew up with them as well, and I'm listening to him as a phenomenal guitarist, a phenomenal singer. Actually, all three musicians are phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah. And this new single is just weak. Not enjoyable.
Yeah.
But in saying that, Roger Waters put out an album yesterday that was just on before we started.
Right.
That I'm not sure if it's good, but I was sitting on a plane for an hour and a half yesterday and I put it on and I had no other distraction other than that album.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
I had this wonderful... It was nothing new, but it was new. There's heaps of references to Pink Floyd in it, even lyrics and bass lines and stuff.
Yeah.
At what point do you breach into something new that's interesting, stop yourself before becoming Muse, and not go as far back as what Waters is doing?
That's right, yeah.
Do you find that influences your music in terms of the influences you're taking from quite a long time ago, if we're real about it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I think it's very difficult for me because I have this big heart of alternative music, but when I write a melody, I can't help but it be coming out quite pop. So there's a bit of contrast in the pop's sensibility side of what's going to be interesting to what I think would be interesting to a listener, and that comes out quite poppy. To the music itself is, it's not heavy, but it's it's the single "The Devil Is Innocent's" got some dirty guitars on it, and the other songs on the album have some they're guitar centric songs, and I think the coming back to your question of how to be different but yet not go so far out and
still be relevant.
Be relevant. It's a really tough thing to do, and I'm glad you asked it because it kind of leads into where this album's come from.
Which is maybe what we wanted to talk about all along. But
well, yeah, maybe. But I think so. 2 years ago, I was writing songs within mind of writing songs that people would like. And at the end of it, I had, let's say, 4 or 5 songs that I really wasn't proud of. And, they were nice songs and people would certainly have liked them. But personally, I wasn't proud of them. They were more acoustic, more... probably more radio-friendly type songs, and I was given an opportunity to do some recording from home. Had some space to do that, and I thought, well, rather than write these songs that I'm not proud of, and I don't actually want to share with my friends. Why don't I just forget all that and write the kind of music that I would be proud to play or play live or share to my friends. I didn't want to write a country album for the sake of having country radio airplay. So I think for me, the natural sound from probably what you're hearing is that influence of what I grew up with the alternative scene, and I guess trying to pull together lyrics that I think would be challenging but also relevant for people to connect with.
Okay.
And melodies that kind of, the kind of melodies you'd like to hum along to.
Yeah, that are interesting enough that you want to hear it again.
That's right, yeah.
So then getting right into that lyric then,
yeah,
the devil is innocent, and your press release says, mental illness, addiction, and sexuality.
Right.
You're trying to deal with that. So how does, particularly on the mental illness side, I guess it's very relevant in the past few weeks for a show like Break Your Fingers Laughing, and for a musician like yourself with the whole Chris Cornell thing and everything that goes around that just keeps kind of circling up into this. This is kind of important right now.
Right.
We don't really have a clue we don't understand it. It's almost but what are you trying to say in those lyrics?
So I think in history, and Chris Cornell's an example, but of things getting to a point that we don't understand, and that's the thing. And in history, the easiest explanation has always been, the devil. Those girls that may have schizophrenia, they're witches. We'll burn them.
Yeah.
And so that's where it came from. Is it's very easy for us when we don't understand something to point the finger at the devil, because our religious upbringings have set a very defined good and evil.
Them in that way too.
That's right. Yeah. It's we mentioned sexuality as well, and recently here in Australia, Margaret Court's comments about the devil being involved with.
Did you actually mention the devil as well?
She actually mentioned the devil to do with grooming. Yeah. The younger girls in the tennis circuit, and that was a perfect example of what the song is saying is, just hang on, there's a quite archaic views, and it might not be that you believe that the devil was responsible. It might be that for mental illness, why couldn't Chris Cornell just snap out of it? He's he's so successful, he's got everything. How could he be sad?
That's
right. And they're quite archaic views as well. And that's kind of where the whole premise of the song comes from.
Yeah, it's like I get the idea of trying to put a label on it and trying to understand it that way by saying there's a person responsible for it.
Yeah.
But it's really just shifting responsibility from yourself, isn't it? You're saying, I don't want to have to help someone or deal with this complex issue, so therefore you're responsible for playing with the devil. Right.
And putting the blame on, say, that the devil's been a bad influence, or or even when let's say I'm the person with an illness, and you say to me, man up, or why can't you just socialise or be happy, type thing. Suck it up. I guess that's again then taking the responsibility away from yourself and putting that onto me. And I do think that there's been a lot of good awareness with mental health issues. I think everyone's quite aware. But if you're someone that really has no idea how to deal with it, I don't think. I think we're ready for that next step. Is what I'm saying. Yeah.
But it's almost then you were saying that if I just told you to man up about it, I'm almost doubling up on your struggle then.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
I'm extra not helping.
Yeah.
So I'm making you feel responsible for whatever is going on.
And that's it. You know, be social, be happy. It's like it's not as if that person doesn't want to be social
Exactly.
or unhappy, but yeah. So that's kind of just the idea behind the song is there's a lot of archaic views there for things like mental illness, addiction, and I know that sexuality isn't a negative thing, but all those things it's not a choice that people make. People don't choose to be mentally ill or anything like that, and that's really where the guts
separated as inferior people just because of it.
That's exactly right.
So how does music fit into that? How can the music community or something like our show, something like your music or a band you like, how do you contribute to changing that attitude and mindset?
I think it's really tough because on the one hand, you know, I'm quite passionate about, you know, from my own personal struggles with different things, quite passionate about helping people and you know, moving from that next step of awareness to action. But I'm also very mindful that I don't want to appear that I'm jumping on a mental illness bandwagon or it's the latest trend type thing. And, you know, sadly, I feel it is getting a little bit trendy to have an illness of some sort. But
maybe you're just more aware of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But for me, I think being able to and I tried to on the album be quite deliberate about writing songs that people could connect with and if not connect with, understand or get something out of it, such as with the song The Devil Is Innocent, a bit of understanding about certain social things.
And attach a sweet melody to it. And, you might listen a few times and go, hey, hang on, now I get what he's saying.
Right, that's right, yeah.
Which is what happened to me. Okay, right. Devil Is Innocent is out.
It's out digital, all the
regular places, iTunes. Did I see an Amazon tag on something as well?
Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, they're probably the key ones. Google. Album going to be released later this year. It'll tie in with a tour of the UK and Europe and then back to Australia. So, yeah.
How many gigs are you doing in the UK or Europe?
So it'll start off as a 20-show tour and then that's October, November. But there'll be lots of stuff spotted around there as we get
full
close.
band?
Full band, yes. It'll be very exciting. I can't wait to I'll get based in Berlin and go from there. Yeah.
Sweet. Andrew, thank you so much for your time this morning, this evening for radio listeners. Pleasure. Thanks.
Thanks for that, mate.
Break your fingers laughing.